What is going on, gamers? Aevatrex here, and today we're going to go ahead and talk about the early stages of an account and what exactly you want to focus on. Now, there are a few specific things that I want to point out which are much more important than the others, but the number one thing, especially at the beginning, if you're just starting out the game, etc., the number one thing is making sure that you find an active guild that you actually find enjoyable, because this game does not work unless you are in a guild that you actually enjoy and that you actually enjoy doing things with, because at the end of the day, without a guild in this game, you're very limited as to what you can do. You can't rally, you can't do the nice events like Guild Fest, Guild Showdown, etc. So even if you find a guild, if they're not very active, if you don't really cooperate or they don't really cooperate with anything, you're not gonna get very far in this game. So the number one thing you have to do once you start this game is try to find yourself a guild that's active and that's currently recruiting, and make sure that you get in that guild and you start growing. For instance, right now we have 90 out of 100, and for a beginning guild, that is actually very good. Now, once you go ahead and find that very active guild that you can go ahead and do things with, the next step is making sure that you are treating your new account the right way. And what I mean by that is, a new account is basically like a newborn baby. You have to be there almost 24/7, because it's going to have smaller timers. And what I mean by that is, if you go to one of these right here and you go to upgrade, this is only 25 minutes. So for instance, if you go ahead and you upgrade this for 25 minutes and you get your helps, this is only going to take you about 20 minutes or so. But if you start this kind of upgrade and you go to sleep and you wake up 8 hours later, you essentially wasted about 7 hours of upgrading time that is going to be very beneficial to you. So the first couple of days, maybe even the first couple of weeks, you have to make sure that you're on top of these timers. You have to constantly log in, make sure that you're constructing something, that you have something researching, that you're training troops all the time, non-stop, until you get to a level where you can start a timer before you go to sleep. That could be 6-7 hours, however long, and then you can get a good night's sleep without having to wait to have a timer go off in like 2 hours, and then the next 6 you're still just sleeping and your account is just sitting there idle. A new account, you want to make sure that you have everything going all the time. And so what I would usually do is, when I know I'm going to be around, I'll go ahead and start these smaller timers like the 25 minutes, etc. And then whenever I'm going to be going to sleep and things like that, then I might start something higher. Like for instance, in this case, we have the workshop, and that one's going to take roughly about 7.5 hours. With helps, it'll probably be just about 7 hours or so. But as you can tell, that is going to be much better to go to sleep on than a 25-30 minute timer. So you have to make sure that you're conscious of that, and make sure that you're always going to sleep when you have the longer timers, and when you're available, make sure that you have everything going, construction, research, etc., because all of that is going to be very beneficial to making sure that your account is growing at a very good rate. Now, on that note, if you don't know exactly what to focus on, like for instance, there's just so many buildings, maybe you want some more resources and you want to upgrade these buildings, but at the same time you do want some more infirmaries or to train troops faster, or you have all of these buildings over here, like what exactly do you focus on? Well, a nice rule of thumb, for instance, would be to just follow your castle. So when you go over here to your castle and you hit upgrade, it'll tell you the resources that you need, but better yet, it's going to tell you what buildings you need at what level. So for instance, one of the requirements for me is Barracks level 15. Now, when you go over to the Barracks and you go to upgrade, for me to upgrade, I'm also going to need a quarry of that same level, etc, etc. So it's going to take you down a path where you're going to start upgrading buildings just to take up your castle. So let's take a look at the castle walls, because that's actually something that I need to take up to level 15. So right now it's at 14. So in order to go to 15, I need my workshop to level 15. So I can go ahead and upgrade that now. That's a great rule of thumb in order to keep improving your castle. But if for some reason the timer just doesn't line up with whatever you want to do, like right now 7.5 hours, that's going to probably be much later than I go to sleep. So in this case, I'll probably just put something like, I don't know, the vault, because I do value the vault, and that one's 3.5 hours, which is it lines up better with my sleep schedule. So I'll do the vault first, and then when that's over, then I'll go ahead and start the workshop. So it's very in-depth, and you have to think about your schedule in order to take advantage of it. But once you have it down, your account is going to be improving so much better than just randomly upgrading something and hoping that the timers are going to line up with your schedule. The next important thing to keep up with is absolutely your hero chapters. Now, hero chapters, early on, I find it to be very, very fun because it takes a lot of strategy. A lot of times you have to make sure that you get the stuns right, the timing right, etc. But not only that, it starts unlocking heroes for you, which is very important in this game. But additionally from that, it's actually going to start making sure that you start getting gear for your heroes, which is very important. So for instance, this prima donna right here, let me actually go ahead and equip this because that is a huge HP boost to my prima donna. And essentially, once you start going down these hero chapters, if you start getting stuck on one, because the difficulty level is going to keep increasing after you complete each one, if you start seeing that your heroes can't keep up, what you want to then do is make sure that you start sweeping them like these. And once you start doing that, you're going to get items that you can equip your heroes. Your heroes are going to be gaining items that you can increase their level, which are these right here. And it's basically, it keeps you on a constant in a constant upward tick of experience, items, in order for your heroes to improve just enough to take you over the hump. And then once you do that, you can then have access to more items, more levels, etc. So it's a nice balance of making sure you have the right hero level and the right items for them. And then later on, you can start making sure you get enough medals for heroes to take them up to higher level, whether that's green, blue, etc. But heroes, especially early on, it's not something that you should avoid, because they are going to be a very key thing for you to keep improving that count. Now, the next thing is gear selection. Now, this is very important, especially early on, because I see a lot of people wasting their materials on very, very questionable things, especially like war gear. Early on, what you want to make sure you start getting is gear that's going to improve your construction, research speed, gathering speed, etc. I definitely wouldn't recommend going for war gear right away unless that's really all you want to do, but that's gonna stunt your growth in the long term, so just keep that in mind. As you can see right here, some of this gear is very basic. It's still mostly blue and green, and then these gold items you just get from, I believe it's called the Voyage. So these gold items you actually get for free at the beginning of the game once you start meeting certain goals in a certain amount of time. But if you follow what I've been saying so far, you'll easily get these items pretty early on. And they're very, very good. They're very basic, but for a starting account, they're a big help. And then your accessories, same thing. You want to make sure you go for construction and research. And I caution people to make sure that they don't waste their materials. Like for instance, linen. Another big one is, let me see if I can find it right here. Yeah, so here it is. Another big one is going to be platinum. That is something that you definitely want to have enough of. Now, if you run out of these materials, what you can go ahead and do is you gotta go ahead and start gathering. So once you have enough troops and you've cleared out all the space that you see, etc. here, you can actually start gathering, and some of these gatherers will actually bring you back some materials. So for instance, if I need platinum, I'll just start just harvesting and gathering that type of material. So if I need platinum, it tells you right there that it may be found while gathering from rocks. So if platinum is what I'm looking for, I'll just keep non-stop gathering from rocks, and that is going to give you a nice chance to go ahead and get some platinum from it. So if you're ever trying to make something like a lunar flute, etc., and you're missing something, just click on it and it'll tell you exactly what you want to gather from in order to get that. So essentially, gathering, activity, hero chapters, and making sure that you have your timers correctly. They're going to be all a big part of starting your account good and successfully, but definitely nothing comes close to making sure that you are in an active guild, not only in order to get helps for all of your construction and researching on all of that, but there are some things that like monster hunting, resources that you can trade or you can get from guild mates, and then just playing the game with people that you enjoy to play the game with goes a long way from the longevity of you actually enjoying the game. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Appreciate you guys for watching, and until later.